He wants me to write a column for their female readers. Daddy, please, I might never get this chance again, Kehinde replied, sitting higher in the boat. Her father paused as he looked at her. The look on his face was one of pride, and something else Kehinde couldn't decipher. Fear, maybe. He had always told her and Taiwo that they were born to do great things, and it had been her guiding principle all her life. But how could she do great things when she would much rather spend the day alone with a book than having to talk to people? In the last year of not being in school, one day she had realized her life had no purpose. Kehinde had been listening to one of her mother's regular customers, who wasn't much older than she was, talk about how she was moving to Abeokuta to expand her raffia mat trade. While she joined her mother to congratulate the girl, it wasn't lost on Kehinde that she had nothing she was walking towards, no real plans, despite the longing to do something meaningful with her life. How many more days, months, years even, would she continue to just be peaceful, quiet Kehinde, the daughter of the fisherman, the dutiful child that helped with the family business? She wanted so much more, a way to stop being the reserved twin, the wallflower, the one who cared more about what other people thought than her own ideas. Then, a month ago, Taiwo had seen the job advertisements for the West African pilot on a flyer on his way to school. It was perfect, a job that would give her life more meaning, and one where she could get away with barely having to speak to anyone. Writing gave her a voice, a way to articulate the thoughts she was always too afraid to say aloud. Getting married was the last thing she felt like doing now that she had finally found a way to give her life more meaning, especially not to Mr. Ogunjobi. It wasn't bad enough that he already had 2 wives. He was older than her father. Keke, war could be declared any day now. That's exactly why I should be accepting this job. Kehinde, as an older person, he started, quoting one of his favorite proverbs in the preacher tone that Kehinde and Taiwo had heard so many times over the years. Sitting down, I can see what you cannot see standing up. This isn't the time to be a political activist. War will change everything. Better to be settled and married, not doing an untested job. Kehinde felt indignation welling up from deep within her. It always seemed like because she was a girl, her choices were to be made by someone else. First her parents, then her husband, the ultimate decision-maker in the chain of command. Mr. Ogunjobi knows you're smart. He said so himself when I visited his Apapa warehouse last week. He will give you whatever you want and everything you need. Her father continued, wiping the sweat from his brow as they moved closer to the shore. I get to become a rich man's 3rd wife, and I'll have whatever I want even if I never wanted to marry him in the first place. How lucky, Kehinde responded, feeling moisture at the back of her eyes and a burning sensation in her nose. She couldn't cry now. Tears never got her anywhere with her father. He believed it was a sign of weakness, a coward's way out of an argument. As their boat approached the jetty, the wind continued to roar all around them, the dark clouds matching Kehinde's mood. Kehinde, what choice do we have? I should have listened to your mother when she told me to stop letting you read all those Oyinbo books, he said, leaning forward and shaking his head. His movements were exaggerated by the wind as the loose fabric of his tunic flapped against his dark skin. I could be a writer, Daddy. A real meaningful job. Why do I have to get married now? Kehinde replied, turning away to hide the stubborn tears that had refused to stay behind her eyelids. Nobody ever said anything about what Taiwo was reading or doing, or what he was expected to think. His more radical ideas were simply passed off as him being adventurous, but any of hers were silly because she read too much. Her father softened as he watched Kehinde. Keke, the world is in trouble. Every newspaper has said as much. The colonial government keeps coming up with new trade regulations every day. This European war is the only thing people are talking about in the market. Kehinde hugged her knees, wrapping her arms around her body as she tried to hear what he was saying. That this marriage was his way of seeking to shelter her from the unknown, but his concern felt more like shackles than a path to safety. Keke, Masukun. I've spoken to Mr. Ogunjobi so many times.